Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we are taking a look at the Spearhead Crimson Edge. That's with the ultimate goal of seeing if it's worth adding to your collection or your daily carry rotation. This knife was designed and OEM'd by Spearhead, so this is totally in-house, and this is small batch mid-tech knives, right? They do the scales and stuff like that on a machine, but then all the finishing touches, the assembly, all those things are done by a single man in shop. They run super small batches. There's two variations of this knife, and between the two of them, there's 30, right? I've got one of the 30 right here. So this is absolutely mid-tech, absolutely, small shop, premium, small batch, all the good stuff. This does have proprietary hardware, and when they send you the knife, they send it in this really awesome little package. But they also are kind enough to include the proprietary tool that you need to disassemble the knife. Now, jumping into the handle materials, we've got titanium front and back scales. We have this beautiful mother of pearl inlay. It just glistens like incredibly. It looks so good, so bright. We do have a spot for lanyards. We do have a 3/4 backspacer, and it's actually got some jimping on it, but it's flush. So it's not functional jimping, it's more there just for aesthetics. We have some jimping up here. This is on the scales, not, obviously not on the blade because the blade's put away. But there is some functional jimping up here. And then we have a titanium milled pocket clip, very decorative, with this hole inside, and then these asymmetrical jimps on the top. Now, in China, they don't use pocket clips. So this pocket clip here is for aesthetics. This is not actually a functional pocket clip. Like, you can use it, but you're kind of forcing it at that point. So I've given them feedback, as well as a few other people, saying that in the Western market, pocket clips are essential. So immediately, Spearhead changed their production to make it to where the pocket clip is functional. That way, people in the Western market can buy it and use it as they would expect to, as a pocket clip. Pivoting that quickly on feedback is one of the reasons I love this company. Now, talking about ergonomics, we can see that they've taken time to mill out some spots to make it more accommodating. This is a smaller knife, but despite that, there's enough room on this handle for a full 4-finger grip. You can even choke up a little bit and then have some room left over. This isn't a very big knife, but with how robust they've made the handle, well, and the blade for that matter, we'll talk about that in a second, but with how robust they've made it, it feels like a full-size knife in hand, and ergonomically, it's very comfortable. Like, you have this functional jimping up here, so you just lock in, hit that jimping, and then you are good to go, right? Box cutting all day. But yeah, very ergonomic, and the functional jimping helps out a ton with traction. Now, as far as the blade goes, we're rocking M390 blade steel. We have this minimal compound grind out there towards the tip. We have a belt satin finish on the swedge, and then on the compound grind up here. See how the light bounces off of it. What I like is that this grind and this grind these two areas, the finish is vertical, but if you can see it, this one is much more diagonal. which I just think is a super cool touch. And then we have hand satin for the flats. We have no billboarding, so it's a totally sterile blade, which is always a nice touch. And we have a fairly robust blade. I mean, even it does thin out a little bit towards the tip right here, but then it maintains its thickness all the way to the end. Which means that, you know, while it's a smaller knife, it's not dainty by any means. You know, you're going to be perfectly slicey down here, but if you need this tip for anything, it's plenty robust to, you know, poke into, you know, a bag of dog food or, you know, Slurpee Defender or whatever. Very functional blade shape. Now, as far as the action goes, holy cow. Just listen. So good. Yeah, the acoustics on this knife are incredible. The overall action is fantastic, whether you're using the front flipper because they have it jimped, or the thumb studs. Action's fantastic. Probably my favorite part about this knife. You could even do the, and I think, yep, you can do all the deployments. And the drop is what kills me, because look at that. You typically, on smaller knives, you don't get this drop because there's not enough weight behind it. But with this knife, because of how stout it's built, you get that more hydraulic close. Yeah, the action's just so spot on, so fidgety. If you're a fidget person, this thing is going to work out great for you, because it's so easy to use each deployment. And you get so much feedback from doing it, acoustically and in feel. This is one of my favorite knives to just carry on the daily and fidget with. Super crisp, super clean. Now, as far as the specs go, we're rocking a 3-inch blade. We have a 4-inch handle. So all in, we're at about 7 inches. And then as far as the overall weight goes, we're rocking about 4 ounces. Here it is up against the Migron Gatov. So not a whole lot bigger. Here we are up against the Real Steel Sylph. What am I doing? I have lines right here. There we go. So, smaller than the Sylph, bigger than the Gatov. Budget knife of the year so far. This thing's 29 bucks. And then up against the Civivi Brazen. This is the 3rd best Civivi ever made. Milled aluminum. It's 3rd only to the 2 Visions. And we can see that we are dwarfing the Crimson Edge. So, final thoughts on this knife. I've said before in other videos that I carry customs and mid-techs. I carry things that I know beyond the shadow of a doubt will never leave my collection. And this falls exactly into that category. For me, this would be a light user. Not because it can't handle hard use, but just because, while I do carry my customs, my mid-techs, I don't necessarily want to beat the tar out of them. But yeah, this knife comes in at, it's 349 bucks, which by itself, for the build quality, M390 titanium mother of pearl inlay, and the level of fit and finish this has, and the fact that it's a mid-tech, right? There's mid-techs are much more expensive than production knives, right? They're the halfway point between production and custom. And that's because you don't have 30 of these flying off a machine into a pouch to be sold. You have 60 scales coming off of a machine, 30 blades coming off of a machine, and then finishing touches are added by one dude. There's just one guy in the shop who does all the finishing touches for this stuff, all of the hand assembly for this stuff. That slows down the process of production. That adds one more person into the mix who's doing all these fine touches and all these finishes, and that's going to make it more expensive because it has a human touch, right? Typically, you can't even look at a mid-tech for less than $500. So the fact that these are $349, that alone is a fantastic price. However, if you go to their website, you'll get a pop-up that says, hey, enter your email and get 10% off, which means instead of being $350, you knock 35 off of that, and now you're looking at what, $315? So for $315, you get access to M390, full titanium construction, mother of pearl inlays, insane fit and finish, insane build quality, and a mid-tech. Like $315, that's a no-brainer. Don't get me wrong, $315 is a lot of money. And if you're just looking for a knife, you can get a knife for $30, right? This is going to do similar stuff. It's going to cut paper, it'll cut boxes, but you get what you pay for, right? This is going to be D2 in aluminum, and this was put on a machine, popped out, put in a box, and sold. And if you're just looking for pure utility, then there's knives for you. For those of us that want some flair, we want those additional touches. We want to know that before this knife came to us, there was somebody that hand assembled it, hand quality checked it one at a time, individually. Before this came to me, I can feel that somebody went through this meticulously to make sure everything was put together the right way, the action was perfect, the fit and finish was perfect, the inlay was perfectly seated, and it's smooth. You can't tell. Like, you can feel like the mother of pearl feels different than the titanium, but like, you can't tell. There's no ridges, there's no lines, there's no indentions, there's no nothing. It's just perfect. Well, that's what you get whenever you step up to this price range. And typically at $315, you're not looking at mid-tech. You're still looking at just production knives. There's plenty of Wies that are $315 plus dollars. Some up to $400, and those aren't even mid-techs. Those are just standard production knives. So yeah, this knife is absolutely recommended at $349. It's even more recommended at $315. And I could say this is in my top 3 favorite knives of 2025. I absolutely love this, and whenever I do my top 10 list, you can expect this to be on it towards the end of the year. Unless something crazy happens. Unless there's 10 knives that just fly out of the woodwork that are mid-techs with better fit and finish, better quality, lower cost. What I don't foresee that happening, right? It's not often that you get something like this that hits the market. So I have no doubt in my mind that this will definitely be on the top 10 list by the end of the year, maybe even the top 5. So fantastic knife. Let me ask, is this something that would make it into your collection? Would this be a daily carry for you, or did this knife just completely miss the mark? Let me know down in the comments. Also, if you want to support the channel, help pay for shipping. I was recently laid off, so don't get me wrong, the channel's it's gonna be fine. But if you want to help out with shipping, now's the time to do it. I have a Cashapp and PayPal in the description. You should definitely go check these guys out. It's EDC by Spearhead is the website. That'll also be linked down in the description. Other than that, guys, like if you like it, subscribe, share with your friends, leave a comment, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.